What's up there, Metal Summoners? It is so great to see you guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, rocking out, and showing so much love to myself, Angel, and of course our beloved Steve, who works behind the scenes. By showing us so much love and support, you're doing way more than you guys even give yourselves credit for, because by allowing me and Angel and Steve to do what we do best, you're showing a lot of love and support and acknowledgement to the guests that we get to talk to. And this evening is going to be no other. We are really, really stoked to jump into it. We're going to talk books. We're going to talk music. But most importantly, we are going to welcome our good friend, Adam Bernard. Adam, welcome to the Metal Summit, my friend. Thank you so much for some time this evening.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me scale to the summit.
Absolutely, of course, man. And we've got fun things to talk about because, of course, congratulations are in order. I mean, there it is right there, my friend. I mean, one-hit wondering. We got 41 hit wonders and other stories. And like I said, my friend, congratulations are in order on its release.
Thank you.
It's got to be such an amazing feeling to have your book out and published. And how has the response been so far?
I mean, the response has been so incredible. When you put something out there in the world, you're in love with it, obviously. It means a lot to you. But to have other people then react the same way has been so good. The first, not the first day because it came out obviously on midnight, but I woke up the next morning and it was the #1 new release for popular music, and it was ahead of stuff about Britney Spears and Madonna and BTS, and I was like, oh my God, this is like crazy, and it stayed there for 24 hours, and I was like, this is just nuts. These are columns that I put together that I wrote for my website over the course of 3.5 years. And I thought they need to be out there in the world. And I guess the world agreed, which has been great. And people are telling me how much they enjoy it, how they're, listening with like a phone, they're reading with a phone in hand so they can listen to the songs after they read the chapters. And it's just been great. People are telling me it's bringing them back to their youth and high school and college. And they're getting joy out of it. And I think if you can get joy out of something in this world right now, that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And of course, I mean, there is a lot of youth and nostalgia that comes with even just something as simple as like a one-hit wonder kind of thing. Like the bands that, we tend to fall in love with do tend to be the bands that give us some semblance of longevity because, they were able to put out more albums, maybe had more hits. Like, the average person's, favorite band is going to be that band that stuck with them over a long period of time. But the fact of the matter is, when you have a song that strikes a chord, even just for a moment, that gives the opportunity to like live forever, that's such a cool thing. And when it comes to a book like yours that's designed to talk about one-hit wonder specifically, that's basically the whole nature of it. One of the songs that I know that you feature is the song that we used for your Instagram announcement in Lens, Steal My Sunshine. I remember that song very, very much in the late 90s when it came out, a brother-sister team from Canada. I remember the music video on like the boardwalk, just a bunch of people just hanging out and, just having a good time. But anyway, just to stay on point for this question, there's a very long history of one-hit wonders, of course, and your book tackles 40 of them, which is a big chunk of those. But how did you decide on what songs you wanted to cover for your book?
Well, the funny thing is, it started out as a column on my blog and still is. The last Friday of every month on Adam's Row blog is a new one hit wondering. And it started off by me taking the album of a one hit wonder, finding 3 songs other than the hit that I thought people should hear, and then doing the deep dive on the artist. And when I decided it was going to be a book, I did sort of notice that I had an overabundance of 90s artists because 90s did have the most one hit wonders.
Sure.
And for my age, I was in high school and college from 92 to 2000. So those are obviously those formative years where you're listening to the most music as a youth. So when I started putting the book together was the first time I was like, okay, I need to have, a few more from the 80s, which I still obviously love, being born in 78. And then I try to get a handful from the 2000s, which is tough because in my mind, that's still recent enough that those artists have plenty of opportunity to get another hit. And there are 2 of them in that section that I had to put a little like italicized note of like, this artist, has a comeback in the works. This artist, released a new album in 2026, that sort of a thing, because they are trying to have another hit. But the main way I decided on an artist was, hey, I remember that song. I wonder if they did anything else. And a lot of digging through dollar bins, which I always emphasize is not a reflection of the artist. It's a reflection of the fact that people bought a lot of albums and gave a lot of them away.
Yeah.
And the third thing is a lot of MTV Classic being on in the background and hearing a song and going, oh, I forgot about that. I wonder if anyone else would care about it. Let's keep going,
Mm-hmm.
And that's how quite a few of them ended up in the book as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you get, songs like Snow's Informer and stuff like that, which I remember from like way back in my youth, because again, you're totally right in that time frame, a little bit stretched out, for me where, my high school, is from like, like 96 to 04 kind of high school and college is like 96 to 04, but it's still that same kind of like basic idea with those. And I mean, I've always, stood proudly on my little soapbox about like how much I feel that the 80s specifically is the biggest chunk of dominant music as far as genre versus genre. Not so much band versus band. You're not going to have an argument that like Poison was better than Led Zeppelin. I like Poison more than I like Led Zeppelin, but that's my musical ear. That's my style. But as far as influence, what they gave and everything like that, you're not going to have that conversation. But not without getting into like all the millions of little branches where now music has all these different subgenres and stuff like that. I always was very big on, how dominant the 80s were just specifically for genre, where the other 2 eras that I found had a genre that was bigger at a different point was 90s R&B, because that was insanely huge when you had everybody from like TLC to Boys to Men to LL Cool J and stuff like that, just really, really dominating music at that time. And then current modern day country, where I know nowadays it is a little bit kind of watered down because it's a lot of infusions. It's country rock, it's country pop, it's things like that. But man, those bands are like arena acts in like modern day now. And it's pretty crazy. But yeah, even going back to like a lot of like the one hit wonders that I grew up on, where you look at even like bands like Dexy's Midnight Runners and stuff like that. There's just so many bands. And also with that MTV situation, like, the first song ever played and subsequently the last song ever played on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star. And so it's just,
for those foreign stations, it was the last one that was played.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just really, really interesting when you see, because it was always about, a catchy song followed by what ability to really push it. And that's what MTV did so well with a lot of those bands. And that was the thing I found like super duper interesting about it.
Yeah, and MTV having shows for specific genres. So, that band that maybe wasn't able to get on the radio quite yet, they could get on 120 Minutes, Alternative Nation, Insomniac Theater, for those of us who are watching music videos at 3 a.m. things like that, that they finally would get a shot
Yes.
and, perhaps find their audience.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And before I kick it over to Angel, you covering Chumbawamba got me so deep in the feels, man. I was like, oh, this is so amazing. I love the fact that he's focusing on this because, like, as huge, of course, as Tongue Thumping was, their song that was all about I suffer from long-term memory loss, I don't remember, was always one of my favorite songs on that record that nobody knew about because, I Get Knocked Down was just so huge.
Yeah. I mean, and it was a bit of an outlier.
Yeah.
And with a lot of these, maybe not a lot, but quite a few of these one-hit wonders, it's the outlier on the album. And it's the one where the artist, I think, sometimes is like, hope we don't get known just for this. And it's like, oh, guess what? Yeah. Cardigans, Love Fool is an outlier.
Oh, man. Yes.
Urban Dance Squad, Deeper Shade of Soul, total outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Although they're not in the book, Crazy Town's Butterfly, total outlier.
Yeah.
Now, some bands like Sugar Ray will have their outlier hit and then say, okay, we're running with this.
Yes.
Like once Fly hit, they said, this is what we're doing. And they crushed it. And they get to do nostalgia tours because of it. But I know some bands get a little like, oh, really? That one was... I don't even know. Does Radiohead even play Creep? I know they wouldn't for the longest time.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to say that they periodically get over themselves and do play it. But yeah, it's definitely possible with that. Because like the other thing, sorry Angel, I haven't forgotten about you, man. I'm going to kick it over to you. He's got me in a vibe. Is because it's not only just about MTV, and I was thinking about this recently. Because it came up like a couple of weeks ago and just something I was watching and reading is that a song that gets picked up by a movie does so much, where Love Fool was such a great song to use for that. But a lot of that success comes thanks to Romeo and Juliet. Like you kind of got you got the Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes rub when it came to that.
Yeah.
Song. Same thing with a song like 5,000 Miles. Is that what it's called? 500 Miles?
500 Miles, yeah.
500 Miles by the Pretender, the Proclaimers.
Proclaimers.
Yeah. That was already released, did not do well, barely even got acknowledged, and then Benny and June comes around, plugs it in, and now it's a thing, and it allows you to fans and curiosity people to go back into the back catalog. And again, sometimes it pops, sometimes it doesn't. And then you also get people like Right Said Fred, who you just know they just understood where they were going to lie and they just owned it. The thing about Sugar Ray that I really like is Fly was fantastic. They owned it and ran with it. And ultimately, I think because of that ownership is what took them out of the one-hit wonder category, because then they had other songs like, what's it called, like Early Morning or Sunday Morning or something that
Every Morning, Someday.
Every Morning, Someday.
Yeah, they all had that vibe, and it was just so smart of Mark McGrath and crew to do that because they knew they had us hooked. They did good reason.
They did a cover of the Steve Miller Band's Abracadabra that I just thought was dynamite.
And believe it or not, I can't believe I'm going to reach over and grab this. It is on the Sabrina the Teenage Witch soundtrack, which I just happen to have right next to me.
That's amazing.
I pulled it out of a $2 bin at a library sale the other day because I looked at the track listing and I was like, these artists on the Sabrina soundtrack, we got to buy it.
Yeah.
And appropriately, Abracadabra is on the Sabrina the Teenage Witch soundtrack.
That's incredible.
Was that the least metal moment from the Metal Summit?
Yeah, probably. But at the same time, hey, I've always been very vocal about the things that, I grew up on and the things that sadden me that the youth of now will never get to like enjoy this kind of stuff. Like, man, like when you, me, and Angel were kids, man, we got Nickelodeon when Nickelodeon was just a killing machine. And I just get a chuckle out of the Sabrina thing because my first crush as a kid, when I started getting like into interest, was Melissa Joan Hart, because I grew up on Clarissa Explains It All. So like,
she used to live one town over from me here. She used to. Then she moved to Nashville.
Oh man. But all that stuff was like so great because I got to cover a festival not that long ago called Maryland Pop and HorrorCon, because I do a horror show outside of TMS, and my co-host and I were covering that because they had a bunch of like horror people there that we were interviewing, but they also had a bunch of like nostalgic like Nickelodeon people were also there. Like we got to interview like Lori Beth Denberg from all that. And it was like,
very cool.
So very, very cool. But no, that same kind of stuff, like again, movies, soundtracks, just the way a song that didn't really get, that wasn't really a thing, can get picked up. The funny thing is too, is like a band like Bowling for Soup, who I love to death, have this huge song called 1985 that's actually was written and released by a band called SR71 that most people don't even know. They might know SR71 because they're a one-hit wonder, a song called Right Now that I still love to this day. But that song was just a blip on the radar because it was on like their third album that didn't really get picked up after the big breakout album, and so on and so forth. But they knew each other. They let them do it, and man, it just became that smash for Bowling.
You know what though? Bowling for Soup did something so smart with that. They changed it just a little bit. Mm-hmm. They tweaked it because the original version is sad.
Yeah.
The original version is sad. The Bowling for Soup version is sort of celebratory.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a tweak of like 2 or 3 lyrics, and they changed it into a much more celebratory song. And I mean, it's just it's a classic. It's so much fun. And Tony Katane, God rest her soul, getting her for the video was genius. Absolute genius.
So awesome. And Tawny's been on the show. She was actually a dear friend of mine for many years. But no, we absolutely love Tawny, and even just the simplicity of the very end of just the guy reacting, honey, what the heck are you doing? And she's just like deer in headlights, like reliving it back in there and stuff. I mean, just absolutely awesome. But another awesome thing is my guy Angel right here. Angel, appreciate you, my friend. Take it away.
I've been thinking about this question.
Uh-oh.
I was in for a TV show. Remember Friends? The Rembrandts?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it was for that show. We could consider them a one-hit wonder. But they had that song, That's the Way It Is, that was released in 1990. That was a hit. The next album bombed. So did the next single, until they got on Friends.
What's interesting is when I started digging into some of the artists we all consider one-hit wonders, or a lot of people do, I would find, you know what, there may have been a decade gap in between top 20 songs, or the song sounded so different from the hit that ends up known that we forget about it, or radio decided they were only going to continue playing the one song rather than both. A big one with that, Men Without Hats.
Yep.
Everyone thinks just of the Safety Dance, when Pop Goes the World was actually a bigger song. It went to number 1 and the Safety Dance did.
Yeah.
But all the shows continue with the Safety Dance, obviously, because that's a, era defining song, and people now consider them a one-hit wonder. And it's like, oh, no, they had a second one. That also sometimes makes it a bummer for me when I'm, writing the column and then writing the book about one-hit wonders, finding out this band I wanted to write about, has a second hit, and I'm like, crap.
Like the
throw that one out the window.
Sorry. Like with the Rembrandts, it's easy to think of them as one-hit wonder. They had that song on Friends, and no one could name another song besides that one.
Yeah, but like you said, 10 years prior,
Oh.
you know, they had another song. And when it's like doing the digs, when you find that stuff out, it's great and also sometimes frustrating if it's another hit.
Yep.
So I think,
There were a few like that.
but you kind of mentioned about that decade gap and bands still looking for a hit. I mean, the good argument about that one is Santana.
Yeah, talk about a gap between hits. And if we say the name of the song out loud, it'll never get out of our heads.
Yeah.
Just, you know, plain and simple. If we say that one word song, it will never get out of our heads. But yeah, I mean, there's a guy who had, man, at least a decade gap between hits. And yeah, when I was writing about the ones in the 2000s, the one that I hesitated with because they're overseas and they're still gigantic overseas, still releasing albums, still touring, is The Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
But they have one hit.
Yeah.
They have one song we all know them for. But I mean, they're 7 albums deep. They're still touring. Justin Hawkins has his podcast, which is great. And, you know, as I'm writing this, I'm like, by the way, they're still totally active, still doing all this and, you know, still making great tunes. It just happens to be that they have one hit.
Yep. I'm a fan. They have a ton of songs that I love.
Oh, yeah. Great band. One song from one band in your book that nobody has heard but should. What song and what band? Okay, let's see. That's a good question. There are a lot. Since I picked 3 for every single one of these, this may take me a second here. But actually, rather than looking straight in the book, why don't I just look at my artist list? Because this was, let's see, there have been a lot in here. Now, are we looking for just a good song, a random song, a weird song? I will say, since this is a metal show, I'll go with the hardest band in the book, which, believe it or not, is Urban Dance Squad. Urban Dance Squad, Deeper Shade of Soul, was a great, almost Native Tongues-like hip-hop soul song. The rest of that album seems like it laid the groundwork for Rage Against the Machine. It was hip-hop and rock and hard rock mixed together. There were political themes, and it's the kind of thing that I don't think anyone was expecting when they picked up the album Mental Floss for the Globe, when they picked up that album. But that one definitely blew me away. And the fact that they then ended up involved in a political movement thousands of miles away from their home was also really unique and cool as well. But yeah, since we are on a metal show, I would say, I would definitely say that would be the choice, Urban Dance Squad. Good question.
Through the years.
All right. So the years in music, one event do you wish you could unsee? Oh, man. That's tough because I see I must see 100. I've averaged over 100 bands a year for so long. If there's something I wish I could unsee, well, maybe it's not an unsee, maybe it's an unfeel. I was at an event showing how much of a cultured gentleman I am. I was at an event for the release of Crunk Juice, Lil Jon's energy drink, in New York City. And I happened to be groped by Andy Dick.
Oh, wow.
So I would like to unfeel that. And I would also like to point out that many years later, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and I still blame Andy Dick.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I'm a testicular cancer survivor, 9 years in remission. But yeah, my running joke is Andy Dick groped me, and then I had to have the testicle removed.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. But our co-host Steve is a survivor as well.
Awesome, man. How many years? Oh, I can't ask him, can I?
Yeah, yeah. He's been over
Behind the
last,
scenes,
like,
Steve can't answer.
yeah, over the last like couple of years, he's been concentrating on like his family and stuff like that. So he like comes on when he's able. He was on last week, and helps book bands and stuff for the show and stuff like that. Comes on when he's able. He's just been very family focused lately.
That's all good. Totally understand.
Angel, do you know Steve's years? I know it's a good chunk. He's a solid chunk survivor. But Angel, do you know Steve's years offhand?
Damn. That I don't know.
That's okay. No worries. But still, always great.
She's still with us, and that's the good thing.
100%.
Those are great questions. Keep them coming.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Brian. Great job as always, brother. Brian's fantastic. He's been a supporter of the show since day one.
Love it. And I am working on, I obviously have this month's written, I have next month's written, and I'm now working on October's One Hit Wondering column. People are like, are you going to make another book? I'm like, you do realize it takes 40 months to write 40 columns, right? It's, I don't know if there will be a part 2. I mean, I guess if I keep, I don't plan on stopping if I keep doing it, but I will say, ever since I got my 40 for the book, and there are some well-known names in here, but there are also some obscure names, because I feel that a lot of the greatest one-hit wonder countdowns and that sort of thing, they tend to always talk about the same artists, which has left some one-hit wonders almost anonymous. And I wanted to make sure I had a good mix of obscure ones where people are like, I don't remember that person. And they look them up and they listen to it and they go, oh, I love that song. I remember that song. So I am diving into more and more obscure with the column, throwing in the occasional one everybody knows, because, finding out stuff about people no one remembers or that only a select few remember is really fun, and reminding people that, yes, this song was great and you liked it and you totally erased it from your memory, and now I want to bring it back.
Well, one of the things that's also kind of crazy about that too, and I was thinking about this for this interview as well, because a dear friend of mine actually covered this song years ago, is certain one-hit wonders, again, unfortunately by act of God or by personal choices gone wrong, one-hit wonders are a thing because of an abrupt, halt. How do you look at some, and I'm specifically referencing Blind Melon?
That was the person I was thinking of.
That's kind of what I figured, because it's one of those things where, just like you said, Adam, I don't think I've seen a one-hit wonder list by anybody that hasn't included Blind Melon. And I'm not using them as kind of that typical example, like you were referencing as, yes, we want to make sure it's not the same 40 bands, because we all know those big one-hit wonders. Sir Mix-a-Lot is going to be on every single one-hit wonder, countdown for the rest of his life. But there's situations where a band are one-hit wonders, by accident, by something out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I do have Blind Melon in the book because I felt that I could tell their story in a way that did them justice. But again, their story's been told a lot of times. It's such a sad ending, especially because I believe the last song Shannon Hoon recorded was for the rock covers version of Schoolhouse Rock, right when his child was about to be born, I believe, and then he passed away. So it was like the last thing he did was this thing for kids when he was about to have a kid, and I found that to be really emotional. But yeah, whether it's Blind Melon, the Divinals, we lost Chrissy a bunch of years ago. Obviously Crazy Town. Like you said, sometimes it happens through their own.
Yep.
but then there's like Johnny Kemp, the New Jack Swing artist, who died mysteriously.
Yeah.
He was on a cruise, performance cruise. He was, the ship was docked. He was walking around, and for all they can tell, is he slipped on rocks and passed away. So some of that stuff, I tried to keep the number. Well, OMC is another one where a tragic story for the men involved in OMC.
Yeah.
I tried to keep the number of tragic stories maybe to a minimum. And the ones that were there was actually one band where I was so depressed by the current state of one of the members, where I was just like, I can't write about this. Like it was so clear that this one member, who is still alive, was so struggling with addiction, where I was just like, yeah, I can't write about this. Like, I need her to have a happy ending before I can write this one.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to talk about that in terms of like, and so and so is clearly off the wagon. Like, no. Like, let's let that person get fixed, then write about them as celebration.
Talk about them and the success part about it. Like there's a movie that I love to death. I mean, me and my wife are David Spade fans. We love Joe Dirt and stuff like that. But I'm a huge fan of this movie he did called Dickie Roberts, Former Child Star. And I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a scene where he's arguing with his girlfriend on the side of the road because they're broke and their car's fucked up and they need money. And she's like, well, why don't you publish this memoir book you're always working on, and get money for that, because we definitely need this. And he looks up at her and he's like, I can't publish the book right now because then it would be published with me being a loser. I have to wait till I'm back on top to publish it so it has a happy ending.
There's something to be said for that. There's definitely something to be said for that.
No, for sure. Right back to you, Angel.
Here's a good question from Brian.
Oh, we have another one here. I feel so old. I'm trying not to take off my glasses. Here in Maryland, we have Kicks. Not a one-hit wonder, but they missed the window. What band in your book would have been far more famous if their song was released a few years earlier? Earlier. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Because there are a few where I think if they'd been released maybe a little later, they could have been bigger. Let's go down here. Let's look.
I think Meredith Brooks could have benefited from Bitch coming out a bit earlier, to be honest.
And I mean, her career actually started in the 70s, 1979, which blew me away when I started doing the research on that one. I think a few of the pop acts, although Jennifer Page's Crush was huge, maybe a few years earlier it would have been bigger. Willa Ford's I Want to Be Bad, maybe if that had come out a little closer to the Britney Christina era, would have been bigger. She's trying to do a comeback right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she released an album this year as a comeback. Although my favorite fact about her is she is married to Ronnie Lott's son. So talk about having a badass father-in-law.
Yeah. She was dating Chuck Liddell from the UFC for a while.
For a while, yeah. Because I remember there was like an incident with, I think, Paris Hilton's crew and her crew. And Chuck Liddell had some words.
If I was
do we have a problem?
If I was Willa Ford, though, I'd never feel more safe in my life, though.
I mean, she definitely has a type. I mean,
seriously.
The strong type is her type.
Yeah.
Oh no, that one's not in the book. I think a lot of these were time sensitive in terms of being the right time to have a hit. They definitely came out at the right time. Like someone like Duffy, she came out at that time with Amy Winehouse, and they had the similar voices, the similar vibe. Obviously, Duffy's story is horrific. I'm glad she's making her way back now. But man, Alana Miles was gigantic, but you know what? She was on the edge of the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe if she'd been released a little further in the 80s, a little further back, she would have been given the benefit of a few more hits.
I feel like
And I
also
think-
because of her look, if she, even though it's not quite that sound, I agree with you with the 80s, because if she could have been lumped in more with like the goth culture, I think that
Or
she
even-
really could have benefited from that.
Or even, you know, the Joan Jetts of the world, the Pat Benetars of the world, could have been in there a little bit more. She's someone who probably would have had a few more hits, maybe. But great album.
Oh,
And now being used in a commercial for a cell phone service. That's something that's pretty interesting. Three of the artists in this book have songs that are being used in commercials today.
oh wow.
Alana Miles, Len, and OMC. They have songs being used in commercials today. So if anyone's ever wondering about the viability of the one hit of a one-hit wonder, 30 plus years later, in some cases, they're still thought of as, here's something we can put in our commercial, and it will give people good vibes and make them want to buy the product.
Absolutely, for sure. Right back to Angel.
Favorite member?
Ooh, favorite member. I actually, I also teach martial arts, and one of my students for a while is a fine artist, and she was going to school for it. She now does amazing murals and pieces, but at the time, to pay her way through stuff, she was doing longboards. And I said, hey, how about, she liked music, I love music. I was like, can you do one at the 27 Club? And the 5 artists I have on it are Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and Jimi Hendrix. Those are my 5 favorite from there. Tough to pick a singular one because it would depend on my mood at any point in time. Because each one of them definitely represents a different mood and a different, in the case of Cobain and Amy Winehouse, different eras. But each one of them are ones I will crank up at any opportunity. And depending on, if I'm feeling poetic and intellectual and maybe a little weird, it's Morrison. If I want to rock out, it's Hendrix. If I want to remember, I'm a member of Generation X, it's Cobain. They all definitely have their place. So the favorite would really just depend on how I'm feeling, but those are definitely the starting 5. And let's not add any more people to that club.
Agreed.
Let's close the doors to the 27 Club. Can we just keep people alive a little longer? Especially in this time where we lost Hayden Panettiere, Dolly Parton, and Tim Curry in the span of like a week.
Dude, I'm today with Tim. Today was a bad day for me, man. Like as a horror movie guy, as a Rocky horror guy, as a guy who was very fortunate to meet Tim. Today was bad day. And don't get me wrong, I'm by no means my wife, my mother-in-law, Dolly hit her like a truck. She was really upset yesterday with like Dolly, and then Babes being, her brother's a Hayden fan. I mean, we're all Hayden fans in this household. Like we like all that stuff in like some type of way. Like I remember seeing her really for the first time in Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington, and then I liked her in the when she kind of got into the Scream franchise in the 4th movie. I thought she did a great job in that. And I'd seen her in a bunch of other things. My friend Brendan Starr, who's a really established musician here in Maryland, he is a big I Love You Beth Cooper fan. And Babes is a big fan of her in the Bring It On movie that she did.
Yeah.
and the co-host of my horror show loved her in I think it was Heroes, I believe.
Yeah.
He was a big fan of her in that. So, but yeah, no, it's been crazy. But I was like, you know, I was not in any way, shape, or form early this morning while I was still trying to drink my coffee, you know, opening up Facebook and having TMZ hit me with that one. I was like,
Yeah.
I literally was like, no, 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 not prepared for that one. Can't be Tim. Can't be Tim.
And I will say, for all the roles everybody knows him for, which are plentiful, two low-key music-related roles that not everyone remembers is he was the DJ in the movie Times Square, who was reading the girl's messages to the world. And I don't know if anyone remembers the 80s show Wise Guy, but there was a 6-episode arc called the Dead Dog Records arc, and he played a evil, maniacal record executive, and he just ate up the screen every time he was on it. It's wonderful 6 episodes of Wise Guy. You can find it on Tubi for free. For like 25 years, they couldn't air it again because of the music rights, because like Debbie Harry's in it and she's singing her own original music and stuff like that. But absolutely worth your time for those 6 episodes. I believe it's 6 with Tim Curry, because my God. Yeah, he's on the screen. It's the only thing that matters when he's on the screen.
Oh yeah. I mean, even in a movie that's pretty tragic by what you would call standards of a movie, even in a movie like The Worst Witch, he is so Tim Curry in that role.
Yeah.
And I'm a lunatic for the Addams Family. I'm a hardcore Addams Family guy all the way back to the Charles Addams like stuff. You know, I love the John Aston TV show. Love the Christina Angelica Houston movies. I really still love these 2 kind of cartoon movies that they came out with in the last like few years that they did. I thought they were awesome because they were animated to look like the original New Yorker, like, you know, cartoons. And I love that. And anyway, I love the and I really love the Wednesday series. I think it's great. I think they've been doing a really great job when it comes to that. But the reason I bring that up is because there was a very short there was a movie where Tim Curry was Gomez Addams. And so like it's the only thing I haven't been able to find a physical copy of for the Addams Family. You know, I have been even in like bootleg form. I know it exists as a VHS, but I've been trying to find some form of just like a physical DVD copy just to go in my collection and stuff like that. But all that little stuff like that. But I mean, Tim is Tim. I stumbled across a video today that I love. I'd seen it before, like a few times before, but of course with the news, it kind of showed back up on my feed. It's like a YouTube video or like a Facebook video that's literally just like, you know, a minute and a half of Tim Curry laughing.
I remember that. I remember seeing that video.
Just different roll after different roll after different roll of just him laughing. It would have like the Muppets and Home Alone and Legion and blah, blah, blah. It's just a minute and a half of Tim Curry laughing. And I'm like, this really actually is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Angel, right back to you. Sorry about that, my friend. But also, Metal Summoners, just to let you guys know, we want to be respectful of Adam's time. We're right about our limit now, but everything's been going great. We've been rocking it out. Adam, are you down to kick it for a little bit longer?
Absolutely. If we got more questions or comments, let's get to them.
Absolutely. So just keep in mind, Metal Summoners, that we are still going to call last call for alcohol, just so we keep Adam's time at a respectful level. But we're going to rock out for a little bit longer because he's feeling good, and Angel's going to take it away.
I ever attended a theater show of Rock here? I wish. I have not. But there was one in New York City with a lot of well-known names that a few of my friends went to, and they were wildly disappointed. And I kind of feel like I love the characters in the movie so much, and I love the people who played them so much. And this is not a knock on any current actor. I don't want to see those roles played by other people. I don't want to see Dr. Frankenfurter played by someone else. I don't, Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon have to be the couple. Meatloaf has to be in it. All that stuff. I love those particular people in those particular roles. And Meatloaf, by the way, told a wonderful story about auditioning for Rocky Horror and almost leaving right away. Until they told him, no, you're not going to be dressed like that. Don't worry. And my one great Meatloaf story is because I live where I live in Connecticut, my first job was with a hardware store. I was 15 years old, and I was building things, and then I would hop on the truck and we'd do deliveries. And we did do a delivery to Meatloaf's house. Sadly, he was not home at the time, but we did a delivery to Meatloaf's house.
Well, if he had opened the door, I would have died.
I would have, Never got to do a delivery to Jim Steinman's house, but that's a little further away. And I believe still available for sale, but the request is that you leave most of it as is.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a tough sell.
Interesting. I guess. Wow.
All right.
One of the amazing things I heard last year was that the guy that sings 8675309 is still touring. I mean,
yeah, Tommy Two-Tone.
Yep.
Yeah. One hit from 81, and 45 years later, he's still touring behind it. He's still able to make a career.
Yeah, I saw him and like 7 other bands on a totally 80s bill like 3 years ago. And it was like him, Bow Wow Wow, Men Without Hats, Wang Chung, Thomas Dolby. What was ironic is like we're sitting there and we're like, yeah, we like these artists, but this probably should have been a 5-band bill because the first band went on at like 5:30 in the afternoon. It was like a Tuesday, and the last band didn't get on till close to 10. And we're like, that's a really long night in an arena where beer's $20. That's it was tough. And the funny thing is, with an artist like that, the one hit. For some of them, 2 or 3. But anytime they say the phrase, here's something off the new album, you just go, new album. And it's like, yeah, they're still making music and good for them. But yeah, I'm not sure how much. I know a buddy of mine saw Paul Simon recently, and he was like, so this next thing is, I'm exaggerating the time, but it was he's like, there's a 28-minute piece from my new album. And I'm like, oh, so that's when you went to the bathroom. Because, God bless Paul Simon. He's one of the most incredible artists ever. But yeah, you don't want to hear this is from my new album when you're seeing someone that you know a lot of songs by. And talk about a phone number we all know, 867-5309.
Yeah.
I feel bad for whoever had that number.
I'm not going to lie. I would deal with it. I would love to have that number. Because nobody would take me seriously when I gave it to them. So I feel like it wouldn't get called like people might think it would.
And it's not like back in the day, because like back in the day, that's all you had to dial.
Yeah.
Now we got to throw the area code on there, which wouldn't really make for a good song.
No.
You need the 7 numbers.
Plus, I've got that block on my phone anyway, where if I don't have your number, my phone won't even ring when you call me. It'll kick you right to my voicemail.
Oh, wow. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
So I'll look at my phone periodically and see a missed call, but it'll be some random number and it'll say like possible spam or whatever. And my voicemail's set up. So if it's somebody that actually does know me, call, it's not going to ring. Like if you text me, it'll come through like a regular text. But if you call me, it's not even going to ring my phone. It's just going to send you to my voicemail.
Yeah. People should text before calling at this point anyways. It's 2026.
Seriously.
Unless it's an emergency, you should be texting first.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. I remember, back in the 90s, we wanted to be on the damn cell phone all the time after 9 o'clock when it was free. Now you don't want nobody
Oh
to
yeah,
call.
we had to wait. Yeah, we had to wait to make phone calls. Even the home phone. Is it 8 o'clock yet? Nope, you can't call.
Yep. Not free.
Those are the days when we had you have to be of a certain age to be a veteran of the long distance wars. But we are all of an age where we recall when AT&T and Sprint and MCI were all trying to get us on their, after a certain time, it's 10 cents a minute and yada, yada, yada. And then to bring it back to music, we had the 976 and 1900 numbers that various artists and bands would try to convince children to call and spend $5 a minute to hear pre-recorded messages. I want to say I don't think anyone in my book had that, but I can't guarantee that. Because, the 80s and 90s were real. And I still remember, was it 1-900-976 Jazz was the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince line. That was...
Yeah. $2.99 for the
so let's get
first
some...
99 cents each additional minute.
Yeah, just brutal. So let's get some more questions in here. We had some good ones earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. There, fans, pop those in there, Metal Summoners. We definitely want to hear from you. Oh, there we go.
Where do you call home? I live in Connecticut. I live right outside of New York City. That geographically does work. So I basically hop on a train, and 80 minutes later, I am in Grand Central Station. And I will be doing that again on Saturday because I will be seeing my friends Gift Shop, who are a punk rock band from Astoria, Queens. They are playing at one of my favorite venues, which is Arlene's Grocery. It has been not a grocery store for 30 years now. It was originally one, which is why the bathroom is a little hard to find for some folks the first time they're there. But one of my favorite places to see a show. Quite a few bands have made their name there. The Strokes, Mr. Wives, and just a great place to. I mean, I don't want to advertise their happy hour too hard because I don't want to lose my bar stool, but a wonderful happy hour, and it's a venue that fits about 115 people. You see some great bands, see them up close, get to know them, and then take the subway to the train home.
Hell yeah, man, for sure.
But yeah, that scene in the Lower East Side has seen a lot of changes over the years. A lot of venues close. Some pop back up as something else. I'll be seeing a show at Bowery Palace for the first time in a couple weeks. It used to be Bowery Electric for about 20-something years. But Arlene's Grocery is still Arlene's Grocery. The Bitter End, which isn't on the east side, but it's still the Bitter End. And I actually have a show there coming up on September 24th because in conjunction with the book, a buddy of mine who runs something called Leave a Lasting Mark every couple months, he throws a charity benefit at the Bitter End. There's a theme, and he gets a bunch of New York City indie artists together to cover the songs, whether it's a famous album, a year, a genre. So we're going to have all these artists covering one-hit wonders from the book, and all the proceeds are going to go to Immerman Angels, which is a cancer mentoring charity that I am part of. They help families of cancer patients and cancer patients connect with people who have survived the same type of cancer so we can mentor them through treatments and surgeries and the process and explain to them things that only someone who's been through it can truly know. So that's going to be a really fun night, and it's going to be for a great cause on September 24th. All right, first show I attended, I don't remember because I was so young. I would have been a small child. First album tape you bought by choice, that is one of two. I did buy Weird Al's Even Worse on vinyl as the first record I ever bought. And the first cassette tape I bought with my own money was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper. And there were a lot of cassettes I bought for a penny, for those of us who remember those years, of BMG and Columbia House. Rest in peace, Columbia House, who finally went out of business for real. But yeah, that was a great way to beef up the collection.
Hell yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, first concert, man, I honestly, it was definitely something when I was a kid. I remember in college, like the first week I was at Hofstra, a fraternity brought in the entire Duck Down Records crew. It was, Helter Skelter and Buckshot, Black Moon. It was a big indie hip hop show, and I think I was like one of 5 white people in the house. It was great. I had a blast. But it was thrown by a fraternity that advertised themselves as the last of the angry Africans, so I don't think they were going to ask me to pledge.
Right. I remember my college brought in Jurassic 5 one time for on campus. The first concert that I think I can really remember going to was when I went with my mom. It was like a kind of like a folk country, like folk rock guy named Tom Rush, because I found his music really interesting as a kid. So I remember going. My mom took me to see him. That was really cool. I remember one of the first concerts I really got to go to by myself, where I just set it up for myself to be able to go, was because I was a big fan. Well, I still am to this day, of a band called Him out of Finland, and this is before the bubble popped, where Bam Margera, the skater, helped get them a lot of recognition here in the States. But I had discovered them and become a really big fan of them, and so it was like my freshman or sophomore year in college. I borrowed my dad's car and went to the show in like Worcester, Massachusetts, and that was awesome. I bought my tickets at a Strawberries music store.
Yes, there used to be one right down the street. It was a Strawberries and it was a Coconuts.
Yep.
There used to be one. That's where you always went to get your tickets.
Yep, back when you could go into a music store and also buy a concert ticket at the same time.
Oh, those were the days, man.
I still have that ticket somewhere. It's in storage somewhere, but I put my little ticket, those like little like frames that kind of look like a V, and you just slide a photo in and they just sit upright on like your counter, but they're in like the shape of a V. I have my little Him Strawberries music tickets in that. But I always thought that was really, really awesome. So I loved them. I remember I actually got to see 3 Days Grace long before the bubble popped on those guys. I saw them in Massachusetts. I was I was working for my college's radio station, and we had tickets to give away to their concert. So their song "I Hate Everything About You" was getting play on MTV, but it was getting regular play, but they still hadn't exploded yet. They only had the first album out. They were playing this tiny little club that maybe at the most fit 300 people, and that's if it's sardined. But that was really, really cool. I got to meet everybody after the show. They all signed this yellow notepad manila paper thing, and I don't even think I have it anymore. I think that thing's it's just died and gone wherever the hell it is now. But I always thought that was that was a really, really cool thing. But one of the things I also wanted to ask you outside of the book was you had talked about being a martial arts teacher, and that was how did you get into martial arts?
I got into martial arts because I hit my growth spurt very late. I was a foot shorter than everybody, and when you are young and a foot shorter than everybody, you have to know how to fight.
Yeah.
And
you're a target.
My folks were like, "All right, martial arts classes," and it worked. And then I hit my growth spurt, so but I kept at it, and it's been 40 years now that I've been studying martial arts and kept up with it. 6th degree black belt in Kempo now.
Nice.
I earned my 5th. I trained for my 5th degree while going through chemo. So that's what my first book, Kimbro, is about. And then I earned that rank about 3 weeks after I finished my last chemo treatment. So yeah, life has obstacles, and it's all about how we get over them. And I hope that anyone who has obstacles in their life takes some inspiration from whether it's my own story or another person's story to, push through, man, because there is another side and we get to it. And sometimes it's really, really difficult, but it's always worth it to get to the other side and still be here to be able to tell the story.
Oh, for sure. And a couple of other little one-hit wonders I was going to hit you with before I kick it over to Angel again, and then kind of we spin around the table one more time, is like just one that I always really liked, found to be like really catchy, and I also just find them to be like interesting because they both have these three have all really interesting side notes. And so like the first one, which is a song that I still dearly actually love to this day, because I can't not sing it. I can't not feel good when I hear it for some reason, even though the song's kind of sad, and that's Barely Breathing by Duncan Sheik. I've always loved that song. And I always found that he's a very, very interesting story because after his quote unquote music career, I mean, he wrote like a Tony Award winning like Broadway musical. And I thought that was really, really interesting, and then you also have somebody like Joan Osborne, where I always loved the One of Us song. It's cool.
Yeah.
The video's kind of kooky and kind of, it totally plays off as it kind of like that, Spirit Halloween Jesus kind of outfit kind of movie.
Yeah.
But then you also, and she still, as far as I know, if she's not active anymore, she was still.
Oh, no,
I was going to say, I think she still is, but she had just stayed very consistent in music with plenty more albums since then. But then you also get something like the New Radicals, where their song blew up everywhere, and they are the definition of a flash in the pan, but not because it just fizzled out. They just literally just broke up and went back into their ways, but now they're back in the news.
Yeah.
Because I heard they've got a single coming out soon.
Well, they just did something with Michelle Branch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the lead singer from that band was like, all right, I'm going to go back into my behind the scenes work in the music industry and writing. And, another guy who just disappeared afterwards was Gautier with somebody that I used to know. But I feel like that was a plan for him.
Yeah.
He blew up, had his gigantic song, didn't monetize it on YouTube, and then just was like, all right, cool, done.
Yeah. And then, and then you can never, and then you've always got your head nodding to, what is love? And get your hat away on. As far as a lot of like late 80s and 90s songs that like the three of us would definitely remember.
Yeah. And Night at the Roxbury.
Yep. 100%. You got it. For sure, man. Absolutely. So again, Metal Summoners, it is going to be last call for alcohol. Adam's been incredibly generous with his time. We're going to go around the table one more time. Make sure that you guys are all heard, but go ahead and pop those comments and those questions in. You guys have been absolutely fantastic this evening. So anything that you definitely want to hear and anything you want to ask about One Hit Wondering is definitely right on the table there for you guys to ask about for sure. Right up to you, Angel.
No, I thought that was a question. I guess my question is, just to make a prediction, who's gonna be the next one hit and get out of that club?
Out of the book, who's gonna have another hit?
Yeah, your prediction.
Man, I know who I'd love to have another. I mean, obviously, we can rule out all the artists who are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the new music is going to travel. I don't know if she's going to go overseas, which would mean coming here. But I do think if Duffy puts out another album, after everything she's been through, after telling the world her story, with her voice still being so incredible, I feel like we're all going to wrap our arms around her and embrace what she comes out with. And the internet is going to be very powerful for her in getting her music out there, because I wouldn't blame her at all if she doesn't want to travel. But when she comes out with something, again, it could be really big. It could be a second hit for her. I guess out of all of them, she'd probably be the one I'd say we could hear from again. I mean, she's working on new music. Incredible voice. She gives us the retro feel. I don't think anyone can touch her vocally right now. And it would be such a welcome change from a lot of what is on top 40 radio right now. I know a lot of people love the country pop, but I do feel an infusion of a little bit of soul would be nice.
Yeah. Give me another Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yeah. Have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. Okay, I'm gonna kick it back up to you.
Oh, yeah, no worries, man. Absolutely, for sure. When it comes to this, because definitely it's important for us to cover this as well. Like, for people that are going to check out the book due to this interview, or also your other interviews, or just the people that will just discover it in general, is there something in particular that you would just love them to take away from this book?
Yeah, the number one thing I would love anyone who picks up One Hit Wondering to take away from it is to reinvigorate any inner sense of passion for something. Because I think what really comes through is, for lack of a better term, the nerdiness, the music nerd of digging and digging and digging to get information, because the stuff just interests me. And in a world of doom scrolling and having all these things at our fingertips, I think a lot of people do a lot of things, but I want people to feel passionate about something, whether it's, one hit wonders or art or anything, to the point where they want to keep digging, where it's not just a cursory glance. Because when we grow up, we really throw ourselves into subjects when we're younger. I think when we're older, we definitely have more responsibilities. Life gets more difficult. That is obvious. But I think something that can make life feel better is if we really throw ourselves into something that we're interested in.
Yeah.
And I really hope that when people see how deep I go with a lot of these, that they remember something that they love, and that they remember to have passion for it, and to dive deep, and to, have that fire back in them. Whether or not they want to share it with anybody else is almost inconsequential. If they want it just for them, that's great. If they have other friends who are into the same thing, that's great too. If they want to share it online and have their tribe find them, that's also great. But yeah, definitely don't forget that in this world of instantaneous things, that taking your time with something because you love it is still remarkably rewarding.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked earlier in the interview just about, like, Nickelodeon back in the days, and I remember watching, Crisscross on those shows when they were 13 years old doing Jump and stuff like that. So I mean, I definitely remember these young kids that went on to be one-hit wonders, or just trying to get into the music business at a tricky time and stuff like that. And that's so many just crazy, like, different stories. But I also love the fact that it's like, hey, it's one thing to highlight these one-hit wonders and kind of like graze over or try to go a little bit more in depth than off of what we already know. But I really like the fact that you focus so much on like, hey, we know these songs, we love these songs, but hey, let's move the needle a little bit and let you guys know about some other songs that they do that rip. And that's something I thought was really, really cool about, your style and your take on focusing on these bands. Well, yes, they're one hit wonder columns, but it's really more of a band focus.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, for the entirety of my career, it's been about loving and respecting music. And, I wanted to do these artists justice. And again, the reason I went from online to putting them in the book is to make sure the stories, they stay no matter what happens on the internet. And I hope that some of the artists actually pick it up. I would love to send it to some of the artists, just so that they know that, their history is preserved, and that hopefully it'd be really cool if one home was like, why am I getting this random bump from this song from 30 years ago? And maybe it's one of the ones I wrote about, and that would be very cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like, the funny thing is like, I guess, yeah, technically they're a one hit wonder. They're a one hit wonder for a song that I'm actually incredibly passionate about. I saw them perform this song when they played Rams Head Annapolis a few years back. But then when I was covering the show Rock the Mountains over the weekend, I was telling you about my buddy Brendan Starr while I was watching his set. He does the most amazing cover of the Verve Pipes Freshman that I've ever heard. It's so good. And apparently his version, just due to a mutual contact, made its way to Brian of the Verve Pipe, and they'd gotten in contact and since worked together and gotten a real solid thumbs up on that one that I thought was really cool. But that was also something that I thought was really cool because like you can have a song that resonates like deeply in somebody. Was there a song or a band that you rediscovered from putting pen to paper that you realized, damn, this particular song or this particular band matters to me in a slightly different way than anybody else?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's take a look at the list here. Yeah, there were a few where when I started writing about them, we mentioned Meredith Brooks was one where when I was writing about her, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the most impressive women of the past like 40 years in music. The Divinals, I Touch Myself, such a great song.
Yep.
People might even consider it a novelty song. But if you listen to the rest of that album and their other work, I mean, their guitar player is really legit, like excellent. Yeah. And her vocals are incredible. And it's just great music.
I think
and the Cardigans
kicks in thanks to Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah. And I will say the Cardigans are a band that I always have loved. Duffy's an artist I've always loved. So there are a few where it pained me to call them a one-hit wonder. But at the same point in time, it allowed me to, write about them with so much love that I'm glad I get to include them in the book and can tell their story. And like I spoke with Nina from the Cardigans a whole bunch of years ago and got to include some original quotes from my interview in the book. Nice. But their whole catalog is great and unique. And if you've never heard their lounge pop cover of Iron Man, it is one of the more unique covers you will ever hear in your life.
Okay. I like that kind of stuff. Like there's this dude,
the Cardigans covered Iron Man.
Oh, wow. I'm going to check that out for sure. Because there's this dude I love to death called Richard Cheese, who does these amazing lounge covers of the most incredible choices in songs. Like he does a cover of Disturbed's Down with the Sickness as like a Frank Sinatra lounge song. And I feel like that thing could like bring world peace. Like it's because it's so wild to hear the lyrics of Down with the Sickness done with such this like confident swagger of like a Sinatra kind of thing. It's so wild.
That's very cool. I love when a cover takes something in a totally different direction.
Absolutely, for sure. So, Metal Summoners, it is closing time. Now, before we open up the doors and let you out into the world, we are going to kick it back up to Angel one more time just to see if there's anything final from himself. Of course, give him some closing time, or if anything else has popped up on the in the comments. Angel, all you, my good sir.
Man, you have to be doing research on bands that I thought was one hit wonder. Actually had another hit, like Hanson with Bop. I'm so glad
Which
I was
artist?
at camp and didn't have to listen to that.
Hanson with Bop.
Oh yeah. Where's the
No,
love? That's the other one for Hanson. By the way, I did see Hanson like 10 years ago.
Oh wow!
And they're legitimately a good band. I mean, those kids, they're not kids anymore. They all have kids. I think they have, among the three of them, probably have a dozen kids now. Yeah, legitimately good band. And to tie it all back, the drummer, the young one, at the end of it broke out with a cover of The Darkness's Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's how we wrap it all up.
Yes. Hell yeah. Do we got everything clear, Angel? Anything final from yourself, my friend?
No, I mean, just can't thank you enough for your time, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a blast, a great conversation about a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I will be sharing it immediately because I know the video goes up on YouTube right this second.
That it does. Absolutely. And Adam, our biggest thing too, the thing that's always the most important to myself, Angel and Steve, is that you had a good time this evening. You felt respected, you liked the questions that were asked, and that you felt that in any way, shape, or form, our little conversation this evening can benefit your continued success.
Thank you so much. No, it was an absolute pleasure, man. And you worked in our closing time reference at the end, which is even better.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. You guys were absolute rock stars this evening. Great questions. Brian, Lisa, Amy, we saw you guys. Chuck, super duper awesome that you guys always get involved and show so much love to the bands. Hey Darlene, what's up? Thank you so much for popping in. So we really always appreciate you guys showing so much love, but also make sure that you guys are going out there and picking up One Hit Wandering. And of course, Adam, before we let you go completely, let everybody know where you and the book can be found.
Find the book on Amazon. I believe some people have heard of it. It's a little known website where people sell things. Amazon.com has One Hit Wondering, and you can find me at adamsworldblog.com. I post there 3 days a week, and the last Friday of every month, unless there's a holiday, I post a new One Hit Wondering column. So more One Hit Wonders coming your way.
Right on, man. And actually, as like a pop-up final question, have you put any thought into like a book tour, like bookstores type of thing?
I would love to, but we need more bookstores to exist.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's been tough. All the ones near me closed down many years ago, and it's a bummer. We had a Barnes & Noble, we had a Borders. They reopened the Barnes & Noble, but it seems to have no parking. So I don't know how that's working out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it would be fun. For my previous book, I did have one in-store, which was a blast. So if there are any bookstores out there watching, let me know.
Absolutely, of course. Well, thank you again, my friend. We really, really appreciate your courtesies, man. And again, if there's anything that you need, just reach out to myself, Angel, Steve. We're happy to help in any way, man. I mean, you're an alumnus, you're family of the show, man, and we look forward to having you back on again in the future, man. We'll have some more fun.
Sounds good to me, man. Just let me know when.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. Oh, Darlene, thank you so much for the compliment. You're awesome also. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. Of course, make sure that you're following Adam on his website, following him on his socials, and checking out Amazon and checking out One Hit Wandering. So we keep that book rocking out and all the great One Hit Wonders things in all of his series of columns that he puts out for you guys to enjoy. Definitely follow, like, share, subscribe to all of his socials and his pages. So every time he puts up a new column, you guys are in the know and get to enjoy it, just like myself and Angel will get to enjoy it as well. When it comes to Angel, you can follow him at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram. You can also find him on his personal page on Facebook. For our beloved Psycho Steve, you can find him at The Real Psycho Steve on Instagram. He also has PsychoStevePresents.com for everything that he's got going on. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm under Salem.Vampire. You can also find me under that same moniker and page on Facebook, and I also have a personal page as well. And outside of that, please make sure that you're following the Metal Summit on Facebook and YouTube. That is where we go live. That is where the interviews take place. That is where you are watching Adam right now. And then, of course, we put out all of our guest announcements on our Instagram page first and foremost, and then they filter down to the other pages. So that's always a great page to follow as well. So you always know what all of us in the Metal Summit community have going on in and outside of TMS. But that's going to be a wrap for us. Officially, we are now letting you guys go out into the world and have a great rest of your evening for sure. We appreciate all of you guys definitely so much. Guest announcement has been confirmed for next week. I'll put out the announcement over the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. And we look forward to seeing you guys for a brand new episode next week. Take care. Keep listening to music. Again, on behalf of myself, Angel, and Steve, and of course, Adam Bernard with One Hit Wandering. We appreciate all of your guys' time and hanging out with us. Take care, be good, keep reading books, keep listening to music. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.